Welcome back to Career Power Hyderabad, powered by Adda 247. Students, today we'll have a weekly revision, section wise revision. So it's a 1 hour session. So please be patient and follow all the important MCQs. So previously in the last 2 Mondays, we are doing these weekly revisions on every Monday. So please do watch our weekly revision, which is published on Monday. So week 1, June week 2, and today we'll have June week 3. So I'll provide the playlist in the description. So do follow this particular playlist because it will be very useful for your bank SSC RRB examinations. So we will go into this section wise revision. So this entire video will be in section wise, like national, international, state news, defense news. We will segregate all the week long current affairs into section wise, and we will follow, we will study them section wise, so that it will help you in remembering these questions. So before going into the content, so please subscribe our YouTube channel and also share this channel with your friends so that they will also get benefited by these videos, and also join our Telegram channel. We will provide all the links in the description. So by joining the Telegram channel, you can easily get these PDFs, and also download our Career Power Hyderabad app. We are providing online courses for bank SSC RRB. So do download our Career Power app. So we will go into the first section today, which is the national news. So if you see the first question on the screen, so India has jointly launched the Tax Inspectors Without Borders initiative with which of the following country? So India has launched the Tax Inspectors Without Borders along with Bhutan. So the answer is Bhutan. So if you see the content, so India and Bhutan, both of them have initiated the scheme called the Tax Inspector Without Borders. So this Tax Inspector Without Borders is an initiative of the United Nations Development Program and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So India will be the partner jurisdiction and the tax expert of this program. And as a part of this program, so in the next 24 months, India along with the UNDP and the TIWB, Tax Inspector Without Borders Secretariat, it will aim to develop the Bhutan's tax administration. So the main aim of the program is to increase the tax administration, improve the tax administration. So mainly they will focus on the international taxation and transfer pricing. So this initiative was launched in 2015 mainly to strengthen the auditing capacity of the developing countries. So it is already implemented in 45 countries. Now Bhutan is going to implement it. Also remember, Bhutan's capital Thimphu and Bhutan's currency Bhutanese Ngultram. So the next question, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has announced the relief package worth how many crores against COVID-19? So Finance Minister has announced a relief package, and how much is the amount? Answer is 6,28,993 crores. 6,28,993 crores. Please by heart this number, very important. So Finance Minister, so for total 17 measures, she had allocated 6,28,993 crores money. So these 17 measures are broadly classified into 3 categories: the economic relief on pandemic, the strengthening public health, and impetus for growth and education. So the next question, so PM has recently launched a Japanese style Zen garden in which of the following cities? So PM Modi has launched a Japanese style Zen garden in which of the following cities? Answer is Ahmedabad. So in the city of Ahmedabad, PM Modi has launched a Zen garden and a Kaizen academy. So these are launched in the premises of the Ahmedabad Management Association. So this is part of the PM Modi's mini Japan project which he want to build in the state of Gujarat. So Zen garden has a lot of features like Japanese art, culture, landscape architecture, and a statue of Lord Buddha. So this garden is developed with the help of the Japan Information and Study Center as well as India-Japan Friendship Association, and along with the international support from the Hugo International Association present in Japan. So Kaizen Academy means, so what is Kaizen? Kaizen means not only improvement but continuous improvement. So PM Modi, when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, he introduced this Kaizen program in 2004. So it was very successful. It led to a lot of good results. So he implemented this Kaizen program even in the central government schemes. So that is why he want to launch this Kaizen Academy. So it is launched in Ahmedabad. Also remember, Gujarat CVM Vijay Rupani and Governor Acharya Devrat. So next question. Law Minister Sri Ravi Shankar Prasad has recently launched ITAT E-Dwar. So this e-filling portal is a part of which tribunal? So ITAT E-Dwar. So question itself there is an answer. ITAT E-Dwar. Answer is Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. So the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal has launched their own site called the ITAT E-Dwar. So mainly the site is used for the parties to apply for appeals, miscellaneous applications, documents, paperwork, anything you can avail in this website. So this website will create accessibility, accountability, transparency in the day-to-day operations. So if you see details about ITAT, it is a quasi-judicial institution formed in 1941, which is under the control of the Ministry of Law and Justice. So initially it had only 3 benches at Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, but presently it has 63 benches. So this ITAT is called the Mother Tribunal because it is formed in 1941, the first tribunal in India. So it mainly deals with the appeals under the Direct Taxes Act, like the Income Tax Act of 1961. So next question, Center inaugurates the Asia's longest and the world's 5th longest high-speed track, NATRAX, in which city? So central government has inaugurated NATRAX high-speed track at which city? Answer is Indore. So in the city of Indore near Pitampura, this track, NATRAX high-speed track, was inaugurated. So the Ministry of Heavy Industries, Prakash Javadekar, has inaugurated this. So it is built by the National Automotive Test Tracks. So they built in 1000 acres, 11.3 kilometer high-speed track. They built in 1000 acres land. So it is a one-stop solution mainly for the high-speed performance tests. India presently doesn't have any sort of these facilities. Now because of this NATRAX high-speed track in Indore, so all the foreign players will definitely look at India because of their facilities. So this is mainly used for measuring the maximum speed capabilities of high-end cars like Mercedes, Audi, BMW. So these high-speed track has special 2 semicircular curves where you can travel with a maximum speed of 250 kilometers without the control of steering, and if you have control on steering you can travel up to 375 kilometers per hour. So they can test the highest speed of every vehicle. So next initiative. So next question, Digital India initiative was launched by PM Modi in which year? So Digital India initiative was launched by PM Modi in 2015. So this Digital India initiative, as only we discussed about this, it's a 1,13,000 crore flagship program of the government of India, launched on July 1st, 2015, mainly to develop India digitally and to make it a knowledge economy. The motto of this Digital India is IT plus IT equal to IT, Indian talent plus information technology equal to India tomorrow. So under this Digital India program, Diksha program was launched for teachers, ENAM for farmers, E-Sanjini for health, P-Swan Nidhi, PM Swan Nidhi, street vendor Atmanirbhar Nidhi. So this is mainly for the street vendors, and digital solutions during the COVID-19. Arogya Setu app was released, and UPI, you know, people are using UPI today very well, Google Pay, Phone Pay. So these are part of all the Digital India programs. And also to ease the operation of business, eKYC, Digital Locker, DigiLocker, eSign were implemented. Finally, the Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile, JAM Trinity. So Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile was utilized to send money to people directly into their bank accounts. Today, every program of the government, central and state governments, are directly getting implemented by this JAM. So where money is deposited into the beneficiary's bank account, so beneficiary is getting his money, so without any loopholes or without any red tapeism. So it is creating transparency, accountability, accessibility. So these JAM also helped in the COVID vaccination drive. So these are all the achievements of the Digital India program, which was launched in 2015. So next category we'll see the international news, where the first question, Prime Minister Stephen Löfven resigns due to no confidence vote. So this Prime Minister belongs to which country? So the Prime Minister Stephen Löfven belongs to Sweden. So Swedish Prime Minister Stephen Löfven, he resigned because of the no confidence vote. So he resigned on June 20th, 2021 after he lost a no confidence vote, and this no confidence vote was implemented by his own party, the Democrats. So he was serving the country from 2014. So he resigned today. And also remember here, Sweden capital Stockholm and Sweden currency Swedish krona. So please remember. So next question, which space agency will hire and launch the world's first physically disabled astronaut? So which space agency will hire and launch the world's first physically disabled astronaut? The answer is European Space Agency. So European Space Agency, which is widely in news, so please remember about European Space Agency. So they are going to launch their first disabled astronaut. So they are developing a technology for para-astronaut suit. So they want to give a message to the world, space is for everyone. So their Ariane rocket, their specialty is Ariane rocket, which is now having a tough competition from Elon Musk, SpaceX, and Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin. And also Jeff Bezos, the Amazon founder, he announced that he will be the first tech billionaire to go into the space by his own rocket. So if you see some details about the European Space Agency, so European Space Agency is an intergovernmental body of 22 countries formed in 1975 and headquartered in Paris. They mainly do research related to space exploration, space rockets and all these things. So the next question, which of the following country has recently included in the grey list of Financial Action Task Force? So which country has been included in the grey list of the Financial Action Task Force? And the answer is Philippines. So Philippines country, as well as Haiti, Malta, South Sudan, they were enlisted in the grey list. So we'll see what is this grey list all about. So the Financial Action Task Force will release this grey list. So this body, Financial Action Task Force, was formed in 1989 during the G7 summit in Paris. The main objective of this Financial Action Task Force is to control the money laundering and terrorist financing. So in order to control this money laundering and terrorist financing, they will showcase which countries are supporting this terrorist financing and money laundering. So their secretariat is present in Paris, and total they have now 37 countries where India is a member. So they have two lists, one is grey and one is black. So in the grey list, they will provide the countries which are the safe haven for terrorist funding and money laundering. It is like a warning to those countries. So blacklist is countries where they are supporting terrorist financing, supporting money laundering. So they are considered as blacklist, and United Nations can apply sanctions on these countries. It can stop these countries from doing illegal activities. So this is all about the Financial Action Task Force grey and black list. So every year, thrice, they will revise this list. So the Financial Action Task Force plenary, they will revise this list. So the next we will see the first 2 units of world's second biggest hydroelectric dam, Baihitan Dam, was constructed in which country? So world's second biggest hydroelectric dam, the Baihitan Dam, was constructed in which country? Answer is China. So in the country of China, this world's second biggest dam was constructed. So it is constructed on the Jinsa River, which is a tributary of Yangtze. So the main aim of China is to curb the fossil fuel consumption. They want to go towards the renewable energies. So it is a 289-meter tall dam which has 16 generating units. So each unit has 1 million kilowatt capacity. It is second in size to the Three Gorges Dam, which is opened in 2003 on the Yangtze River, which has a 22.5 million kilowatt capacity. Both these dams are present in China, and both of them were constructed by a single company called the Three Gorges Group Company. So they constructed both these dams. So if the Baihitan Dam is completely operational, it will eliminate the use of 20 million tons of coal annually. So these are the advantages of this hydroelectric dams. So China's capital Beijing, China's currency renminbi. So please remember. So next question, how much money has been pledged by World Bank for COVID-19 vaccine funding in the developing countries for the period ending 2022? So by 2022, how much money is the World Bank pledging for the COVID-19 vaccines? Answer is 20 billion. So $20 billion is allocated by World Bank for COVID vaccines, mainly COVID vaccines. So earlier last year, $12 billion was allocated. So this year, 8 billion, total 20 billion for mainly for developing countries vaccines. So the World Bank President David Malpass also urged the developed countries who are having surplus doses, to provide their surplus doses to the needy country, and also they urged the vaccine manufacturers to prioritize to give the available doses to the African nations, mainly because they are in short of dosages. So World Bank is formed in 1944 and headquarters is in Washington DC. So next we'll go into the next section of state news. So we'll see the first question. So which financial body below has approved a US $125 million support program for Resilient Kerala? So for the program Resilient Kerala Project Initiative, which body has allocated $125 million US? And the answer is World Bank. So World Bank has allocated this money. So mainly for the Resilient Kerala program. So this loan has a maturity of 14 plus 6 years, 20 years maturity time. So you know Kerala in the year of 2018 was worstly affected because of the floods, because of the devastating monsoons. So nearly 50 lakh people, 5 million, that is 5 million people are affected due to this flood. So they initiated this Rebuild Kerala. So as a part of this Rebuild Kerala program, so Kerala will construct disaster resilient infrastructures in both cities and villages. So for this program they need money. So the World Bank has approved $125 million for this particular project. So please remember, Kerala CM Pinarayi Vijayan, Kerala Governor Arif Muhammad Khan, World Bank headquarters Washington, World Bank formed in 1944, World Bank President David Malpass. Please remember, static GK very, very important. So next question, which Indian state has become the first state of the country to be rabies free? So which state is rabies free? First to be rabies free, answer is Goa. So Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant has declared that the state is rabies free, and from the last 3 years not even one single case was registered. So this is all because of their mission rabies project, which runs with the help of the central government grant. As a part of this project, nearly 5.4 lakh people were vaccinated against rabies disease, and also they established a 24-hour surveillance center mainly to treat and to respond to the dog bite victims. So rabies, if you see about rabies, it's a viral disease mainly caused by dog bite. So this rabies virus will cause encephalomyelitis, which is the inflammation of brain and spinal cord. So the saliva, so the dog saliva has this rabies virus. So when this virus enters into your body, it will directly attack your central nervous system. So annually in the worldwide, there are nearly 24,000 to 60,000 cases of rabies virus. So we need to be very careful about this rabies virus. Also remember, Goa Governor Bhagat Singh Koshoria and the Chief Minister of Goa Pramod Sawant. So next question. So which of the following Indian state has started supporting Andhra Learning Transformation Program to transform foundational learning in the government schools? So in the question itself there is answer. So which state has launched the Supporting Andhra Learning Transformation Program? SALT, simply called SALT program. Answer is Andhra Pradesh. So the state of Andhra Pradesh has launched the SALT program with the help of World Bank. World Bank will provide a $250 million loan. The main objective of the program is to strengthen the foundational schools. So the Anganwadi schools in the state were converted into pre-KG schools where they will provide LKG and UKG classes. So government want to develop these foundational schools, and also government want to develop the skill in teachers. They want to provide training and skill development to teachers. So that is why this program was launched. This program will benefit nearly 40 lakh children in the state and also 2 lakh teachers. Also remember, Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy and the Governor of Andhra Pradesh Bishwabhushan Harichandan. So next question. Researchers have discovered black-bellied coral snake in the Badraj block of the Benno Wildlife Sanctuary. So in which state? So researchers have discovered black-bellied coral snake in which state? So the answer is Uttarakhand. So in the state of Uttarakhand, so researchers have found this black-bellied coral snake. So yesterday we discussed about this snake. So this snake belongs to the Elpidae family. So their scientific name is S. nigriventa. So this is mainly found in the Mussoorie Forest Division. So this, if you see the total coral snakes in the entire world, there are 107 species, out of which 7 are present in India. If you see the total species of snakes, there are 2000, out of which 300 are in India. And in this 300, 52 are venomous snake, poisonous snake. And Indian poisonous snakes are classified into 3 categories: the Elpidae, Viperidae, and Hydropidae, which are sea snakes. So these snakes are protected under the Wildlife Protection Act. So every snake in the country is protected under the Wildlife Protection Act, and snakes are useful, generally important for 2 reasons: ecological and medical. So medical reason, so for snake bite, the snake poison will act as an antivenom. So from the big cats, big four snakes, cobra, krait, Russell's viper and saw-scaled viper, we will collect their poison and we will create antivenoms. And also ecologically, snakes will maintain the food balance system, food web system. Snakes will feed on rats, and there are many animals who feed on snakes. So it creates a food web system. So please remember, the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, Pushkar Singh Dhammi, so he was elected yesterday, he was appointed yesterday. So please remember, the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, Pushkar Singh Dhammi, and the Governor of Uttarakhand, Baby Rani Maurya. So Tiradrat was replaced by Pushkar Singh Dhammi. So please remember, the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand is Pushkar Singh Dhammi, the new Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. He replaced Tiradrat. So next, the Governor of Odisha is Baby Rani Maurya. Sorry, not Odisha, Uttarakhand. So next question, YSR Bima scheme was launched recently by which state government? So YSR Bima scheme was recently launched by which state government? Answer is Andhra Pradesh. So Andhra Pradesh government has launched this YSR Bima scheme, which is an insurance scheme mainly for people who lost their breadwinners. So all the unorganized workers in the state are eligible, mainly between the age group 18 to 70 years, who have a monthly income of less than 15,000. So these people are registered under the Unorganized Workers Social Security Act, and they are provided these benefits, the Bima. So we will see the benefits briefly. So for natural death, 2 lakhs is provided to 18 to 50 age group, and 30,000 for 51 to 60 age group. And for accidental death and total disability, 5 lakhs is provided, and for partial disability, 2.5 lakh is provided. So a scholarship, also a scholarship of rupees 1200 is provided to children mainly studying 9th, 10th, plus 1, plus 2 and ITI. And rupees 5000 will be paid immediately within the 2 days of death, and on the 11th or 13th day the entire amount will be credited to their bank accounts. So state government has allocated 750 crores this year for this particular scheme, and in the past 2 years 1307 crores were spent mainly to benefit 1.3 lakh families. So remember, Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh Y.S. Jagannath Reddy, Governor of Andhra Pradesh Bishwa Bhushan Harichandan. So we'll go into the next section of appointment news. So very important this section. So who has been appointed as the acting Chief Vigilance Commissioner? Acting Chief Vigilance Commissioner. Answer is Suresh N. Patel. Suresh N. Patel is the acting Chief Vigilance Commissioner. So he is presently the Vigilance Commissioner of India. So he will replace Sanjay Kothari, who retired recently, who completed his term. So the Chief Vigilance Commissioner, the Central Vigilance Commission is generally headed by CVC and maximum of 2 Vigilance Commissioners. Presently only Patel is present as the Vigilance Commissioner. So the appointment of the Chief Vigilance Commissioner and one more Vigilance Commissioner to happen. So it will be your current affair. Tomorrow you will get your Vigilance Commissioner in a day or two. Chief Vigilance Commissioner as well as Vigilance Commissioner. So please you need to check this bit again. So CVC, Central Vigilance Commission, is formed in 1964, headquartered in New Delhi. So mainly it is formed by the recommendation of the Santanam Committee on Prevention of Corruption, 1963. So that committee gave recommendation, and in 1964 CVC, Central Vigilance Commission, was appointed, and it coordinates with CBI to investigate the cases of corruption in the government sector. So this is about CVC. Now we will go into next question, where who has been appointed as the head of payments of WhatsApp. So who is the head of payments of WhatsApp? Answer is Manish Mahatme. So Manish Mahatme is the head of payments of WhatsApp. So he has 17 years experience in the field of digital financial services and payments. Earlier he worked in Citibank, Airtel Money, Amazon Pay. So his services will definitely help WhatsApp to develop its payment system. So WhatsApp formed in 2009, and WhatsApp headquarters California, and WhatsApp parent company is Facebook. So when Facebook acquired WhatsApp in the year 2014. So also remember this point. So next question. So who among the following has been appointed as the Special Director of CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation? So who is the Special Director of CBI? Praveen Sinha. So Praveen Sinha is the Special Director of CBI. His appointment was approved by the Appointments Committee of Cabinet. So he will be the Special Director. Earlier he was holding the post of Additional Director in CBI itself. Special Director is the second most important position in the agency. So earlier this position was held by Rakesh Asthana. So if you come to Sinha, Sinha has a lot of experience in the agency, working as SP, DIG, Joint Director, Additional Director. So we will go into the details of CBI. CBI was formed in 1963 by the resolution of Ministry of Home Affairs. CBI comes under the control of the Department of Personnel and Training. CBI was recommended by Santanam Committee on the Prevention of Corruption, 1962-64. So CBI is not a statutory body, but it draws the powers from the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act of 1946. CBI is the main investigating agency of the central government, and also it provides assistance to Lokpal and Central Vigilance Commission, and CBI works on the behalf of Interpol in India. So these are all the details about CBI, so please remember. Next question. So who is the grievance officer is Jeremy Kessel. So for which company? So which company announced the appointment of Jeremy Kessel as the new grievance officer for India? So which company announced it? So answer is Twitter. So Twitter has announced their new grievance officer as Jeremy Kessel. So Jeremy Kessel is the present global legal policy director of Twitter. So her appointment comes as a mandatory under the Information Technology Rules 2021. So according to the new Information Technology Rules 2021, for every social media platform who are having 50 lakh plus users, 50 lakh above users, they need to appoint compliance officer, nodal officer, grievance officer, and all the 3 officers must be residents of India. But Jeremy Kessel is not an Indian, so this will be an issue tomorrow, because already the central government at Twitter are having a huge war between them, and this appointment of Jeremy Kessel will add fuel to this war. So please remember, you may again have a change in news about this grievance officer of Twitter. So Twitter was formed in 2006 and headquarters is in San Francisco. So next question, who have been appointed as the chairman of the Indian Federation of United Nations Associations? So who is the chairman of the Indian Federation of the United Nations Association? Answer is Shambhunath Srivastava. So Shambhunath Srivastava, who is the former judge of Allahabad High Court and the Lokayukta of Chhattisgarh. So he has been appointed as the chairman of the IFUNA, which is a non-governmental voluntary non-profit organization. Mainly the aim of this organization is to promote the objectives of UN. So it enjoys a special consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of UN. So it runs an institute called the Institute of United Nations Studies, which is formed in 1969. So this institute provides a 6-month diploma course on the United Nations and international understanding. So this is all about the IFUNA. So next question, the Appointments Committee of Cabinet has extended the tenure of which organization CEO Amitabh Kant by an year till June 30, 2022. So Amitabh Kant is the CEO of which of the following organization? Answer is Niti Aayog. So Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant gets an extension of 1 year. So Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant was first appointed in 2016. Later on he was extended in 2019, then again 2021. So total 3 extensions were given to Amitabh Kant. So he was appointed for a 2-year term in 2016. So 2016 to 2018, then in 2018 he was extended till 2019. From 2019 to 2021, again now one more extension till 2022. So if you learn some things about Amitabh Kant, why he was given extension. So he was very vital in programs like Make in India, Startup India, Incredible India, in the development of these programs. Now he is working on the Easy of Doing Business initiative of the government. So that is why he got 1-year extension. Now we will see some details about Niti Aayog, National Institute for Transforming India Aayog, which is a policy think tank. The main aim of this Niti Aayog is to achieve sustainable development goals with cooperative federalism, with the cooperation of the state governments by involving state governments, which is simply called the bottom-up approach. Whereas earlier planning commission used to have the top-down model where center used to decide and states used to implement, but now in Niti Aayog both states and center will coordinate and they will implement. So Niti Aayog replaced the Planning Commission on January 1st, 2015 and it is headquartered in New Delhi. So if you see the members of Niti Aayog, so the chairperson of Niti Aayog is PM Modi, Vice Chairman Rajiv Kumar, ex-officio members Amitabh Kant, Rajnath Singh, Nirmala Sitharaman, Narendra Singh Tomar, and full-time members VK Sarawat, former DRDO chief, Ramesh Chand, agriculture expert, and Vinod Pal, public health expert. So please remember all these points. So next question, who among the following will be the new Vice Chief of Indian Air Force? So who among the following will be the new Vice Chief of Indian Air Force? Answer is Vivek Ram Chaudhary. So Vivek Ram Chaudhary will succeed Air Marshal Harjit Singh Arora. So presently Air Marshal Vivek Ram Chaudhary is working as the Commander-in-Chief of the Indian Air Force Western Air Command. Western Air Command is very crucial because it has the sensitive Ladakh sector and topmost parts of North India which share boundary with Pakistan and China. So he has a flying experience of nearly 3,800 hours and operational experience of MiG and Sukhoi aircrafts. So his experience will definitely help in the Indian Air Force development. So if you see the Chief of Air Staff, he is Air Chief Marshal Rakesh Kumar Singh Baduria. The Deputy Chief of Air Staff is Air Marshal Suraj Kumar Jha, and the Vice Chief of Air Staff is Vivek Ram Chaudhary. So next section of business news, first question. So which of the following has launched centrally web-based workflow-based IT platform EPGS? So EPGS was launched by which body? Answer is LIC. So Life Insurance Corporation of India has launched this EPGS. So EPGS is designed to provide a centralized collection and payment accounting. So this particular system will be used by the corporate clients of LIC. So these corporate clients can use this website to view the data, to initiate actionable processes, and to lodge and track claims. So this website can be used by the corporate clients of LIC. LIC was formed in 1956 and headquarters is in Mumbai. So please remember. Next question, the encrypted messaging application Wickr was recently acquired by which company, which tech giant? So this Wickr, encrypted message application Wickr, was recently acquired by Amazon. So Amazon Web Services. So this company has acquired the Wickr app. Wickr app so generally was used by the government agencies in United States. So Wickr provides secure communication for business, government agencies and individuals. So this Wickr has an end-to-end encryption, communication technology, advanced security features. So the competition for Wickr in today's market are Facebook owned WhatsApp, Apple iMessage and Signal. So these encrypted messaging apps generally they allow people to send messages which cannot be intercepted or read by the law enforcement officers. So few details about Wickr and Amazon. Wickr formed in 2012, headquartered in New York. Amazon formed in 1994, headquartered in Seattle, Washington State, USA. Washington is a separate state. Washington DC is the capital. So both are different. Don't get confused. So next question. India has reported current account surplus for the first time in 17 years. So what is the current account surplus in the year financial year 21? The answer is 0.9. So India has recorded this after 17 years, 17 long years. So current account surplus is 0.9%. In the last year, financial year 20, there is a current account deficit of 0.9, and this year there is a current account surplus of 0.9. So this is achieved mainly due to this sharp contraction, that is decline in the trade deficit. So what is this current account surplus and what is this current account deficit? Yesterday only we discussed what is surplus. So surplus means exports from India are higher than the imports into India. So exports from India are higher than the imports into India is a surplus, and deficit means imports into India are higher than exports. So when imports into India are very higher than exports, so then it is called deficit. So next question, ShopSee is an app launched by which company to attract Indians to start their own online business without any investments? So ShopSee is an app launched by which company? Answer is Flipkart. So Flipkart e-commerce website has launched this ShopSee mainly to create 25 million online entrepreneurs. So without any investment, a person can become an entrepreneur. Their target is to make 25 million entrepreneurs by the year 2023. So if you go into the details, so any person can download this app and they can register with their mobile number. So if you, after downloading, you will get access to nearly 15 crore products on the Flipkart website. So you can handpick your products and you can share to your potential friends, customers via WhatsApp or Facebook. So if the customer places an order, definitely you will get a commission. So this helps you to earn money without any investment. So also remember, Flipkart headquarters Bangalore. Flipkart is formed in 2007. Flipkart parent company Walmart. So Walmart acquired Flipkart in 2018. So next section is of banking news. Now we'll see the important banking news. So which of the following bank has launched Salute Doctors banking solution? So answer is, so which of the following bank has launched the Salute Doctors initiative? Answer is ICICI Bank. So ICICI Bank has launched the Salute Doctor initiative mainly for doctors. So it is available from a medical student to a senior medical consultant. So this is powered by the ICICI stake, which provides nearly 500 services digitally and seamlessly. Under this Salute Doctors banking solution, a savings account, a current account is provided, as well as a home loan of 5 crores, medical equipment loan of 10 crores, and a business loan up to 40 lakhs without any collateral is provided to doctors. So ICICI headquarters in Mumbai and formed in 1994. So next, Salam Dil Se initiative to show gratitude to doctors for their tireless service during pandemic. So this initiative was launched by which bank? So Salam Dil Se initiative was launched by the HDFC Bank. So if you go into the details, Salam Dil Se is an initiative launched by HDFC mainly to celebrate, to acknowledge the contribution of doctors during this pandemic and to show them gratitude. So they launched a website, salamdilse.com, which is a microsite. So this microsite, on this microsite you can log in, you can simply send messages to doctors, gratitude, greetings to doctors. So microsite is simply a smaller version of website. So HDFC Bank is formed in 1994 and headquarters in Mumbai. So next, which bank has successfully entered into 66th year and it's celebrating the 66th foundation day? Answer is SBI. So SBI enters into the 66th year. So if you see the history of SBI, Bank of Calcutta was formed in 1806. It is renamed as Bank of Bengal in 1809. Subsequently, Bank of Bombay in 1840, Bank of Madras in 1843 were launched. So these three banks were called the presidency banks, which dominated the entire banking system. So they were merged in 1921 and formed as the Imperial Bank of India. So in July 1st, 1955, this Imperial Bank was replaced by the State Bank of India. So today, State Bank of India, we have, earlier it is the Imperial Bank of India, which is formed on July 1st. So it completes 66 year, it is entering into the 66th year. Also remember, the SBI chairperson Dinesh Kumar Kara and SBI headquarters, Mumbai. So we'll go into the next section, economy news. So we'll see the first question. So the Bank of International Settlements, according to the Bank of International Settlements, India's bank credit to GDP ratio is how much? India's bank credit to GDP ratio is how much? Answer is 56%. Answer is 56%. So what is the credit to GDP ratio? It is very simply, so it is a ratio of countries' loans, countries' debts by the country's GDP. So it is simply equal to the country's debts by country's GDP. How much we got percentage today? 56%. So, so last year in 2020, India has 56% credit to GDP ratio with an outstanding bank credit of nearly $1.5 trillion. So if you compare with other BRICS nations, China has 161%, Russia 88%, Brazil 50%, and South Africa 40%. So if you see about this credit to GDP ratio, if you have a high credit to GDP ratio, it is called that the banking system is very aggressive, it is participating to provide more credits, more loans. If you see a lower percentage, that means we need to encourage more formal credit, we need to encourage more banks to provide loans. So that is why experts and economists will call for privatization of state-run banks so that it will increase the credit in India. So sometimes there is a negative effect of this credit. So if there is a high credit to GDP ratio, it will create trouble of the banking system. Best example is the subprime crisis of the 2008, where people were given lot of credits, people were unable to pay back the loans, and banks went into bankruptcy, loan defaultation. So this is about the credit to GDP ratio. Also remember the Bank of International Settlements, which serves as a bank of central banks, headquartered in Basel, Switzerland, and established in 1930. So next question. According to INDRA is a credit rating agency present in India. So they projected India's GDP growth rate of how much percentage for the financial year 2020-22. So what is the percentage projected by the INDRA, India's GDP growth rate? How much they projected? Answer is 9.6. So they projected 9.6. So INDRA, India Ratings and Research, is wholly owned by the Fitch Group, so which is headquartered in Mumbai. So Moody's, Standard & Poor, Fitch Group are the top big three credit rating agencies in the world. So they estimated 9.6 growth rate for financial year 22. Earlier their estimate was 10.1 because of the COVID second wave. So they reduced it to 9.6, and they are saying that if the vaccination doesn't happen in the next 3 months, then India's growth rate will reduce to 9.1. They also estimated agriculture sector to grow at 3%, industries to grow at 10.9, and services to grow at 10.4%. So these are all the estimations of the INDRA. So next is, what is the interest rate on senior citizen savings scheme? What is the interest rate on senior citizen savings scheme for July-September session? So the answer is 7.4%. So for senior citizens savings scheme, the interest rate is 7.4%. So yesterday we have discussed the small savings schemes. There are total 12 small savings schemes. So please go to the video, go and study the entire small savings schemes. So for the July-September quarter 2, the percentages, interest rates were given. Study every interest rate, very, very important. So next question, what is the interest rate on Sukanya Samruddhi account? What is the interest rate on Sukanya Samruddhi account? Answer is 7.6. So the interest rate on Sukanya Samruddhi account is 7.6. So this is all about the small saving schemes. Go and watch the video. All the 12 small saving schemes were discussed along with the interest rates. So next is agreement news. We'll see the first agreement news. So Reliance Jio has collaborated with which of the following company, tech giant, to provide 5G solutions in India, 5G technology in India. So Reliance Jio has collaborated with Google Cloud. So Reliance Jio has collaborated with Google Cloud. Last week we have seen Airtel collaborating with Tata Group to provide 5G in India, and now Jio is collaborating with Google Cloud to provide 5G in India. So they will empower 5G in both the enterprise and consumer segments, nationwide. So their edge cloud infrastructure of the Google will support all the support all the Jio networks. So it will provide a high performance platform for all the Jio subscribers. They are also planning a 5G computing solutions mainly for the real-time business challenges faced by the businesses in India. They also want to explore the gaming, healthcare, education, video, entertainment sectors in India. So this is all about Jio and Google Cloud. So I'll see few points about Jio. Jio formed in 2007, headquartered in Mumbai. Google formed in 1998, headquartered in California. So the next question, so which of the following social media platform has recently joined with the NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation, to launch the Digital Skill Champion program? So which of the following social media platform has joined with NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation, to launch the Digital Skill Champions program? Answer is WhatsApp. So WhatsApp and NSDC are going to launch the Digital Skills Champions program. So National Skill Development Program is NSDC. So their main aim is to train the India's youth mainly to become to make them employment ready. So this partnership will have two institutions. One is the WhatsApp Digital Skills Academy and the WhatsApp Business App Training Centers. So in this Digital Skills Academy, youth from the young adults from Tier 4 and Tier 3 cities will be trained on digital safety and online piracy. So this initiative will start initially in 5 states: Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. So this program is implemented by the WhatsApp implementation partner InfiSpark. So WhatsApp is formed in 2009, headquartered at California. WhatsApp parent company, you know, Facebook acquired WhatsApp in 2014. National Skill Development Corporation is formed in 2008 and headquartered in Delhi. So please remember all these points. So next question. So the Jharkhand State Cricket Association has signed a memorandum of understanding with SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited, to set up the state's third international cricket stadium in which city? So Jharkhand State Association has signed a memorandum of understanding with SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited, to set up state's third international cricket stadium in which city? Answer is Bokaro city. So in the Bokaro city, so both Jharkhand State Cricket Association as well as the SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited, Bokaro Steel Plant, will construct the third international stadium after Jamshedpur and Ranchi. So the Bokaro Steel Plant has allocated 20 acres of land for 33 years. So it is the first international stadium to be constructed in a SAIL township. So also remember, the Chief Minister of Jharkhand, Hemant Soren, and the Governor of Jharkhand, Srimati Draupadi Mumuru. So please by heart these points. So next question. Which of the following bank has partnered with Paisabazaar to launch the Step Up credit card? So which of the following bank has partnered with Paisabazaar to launch the Step Up credit card? Answer is SBM Bank. So State Bank of Mauritius Bank. So SBM Bank India Limited has partnered with Paisabazaar. So Paisabazaar mainly want to target the customers who have a weak credit credentials or who doesn't have a credit score. So it is targeting these people. So if you have a bank account in SBM Bank, you can easily avail this credit card, which is mostly digital and easy, instant. So Paisabazaar was formed in 2014, headquartered in Gurgaon. SBI Bank is formed in 1994, headquartered in Mumbai. So next section, we will go into the defense news. We will study all the important defense news. We will see the defense news. So the first defense news for today. So the Union Defense Minister, you know, our Union Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has informed that the India's first indigenous aircraft carrier IAC-1 to be commissioned in which year? So answer is 2022. By 2022, India's first indigenous aircraft carrier will be commissioned. So it will be named INS Vikrant in the memory of India's first aircraft carrier, which decommissioned in 1997. So this aircraft carrier is built by the Cochin Shipyard Limited. So 75% of it is indigenous, say the steel used or the design or the weapons or sensors. So design is developed by the Directorate of Naval Design of the Indian Navy. So it has a capacity to carry 30 aircraft. So if you see about other aircraft carriers, INS Virat decommissioned in 2019. INS Vikramaditya is the only aircraft carrier which is in service today. So tomorrow we'll get INS Virat, INS Vikrant. So also remember, the Chief of Naval Staff Admiral Karambir Singh, Vice Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Ashok Kumar, Deputy Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Ravanit Singh. So next question, Agni-P is successfully testified by which organization? Agni-P is successfully testified by the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO. So DRDO has developed and testified this Agni-P, Agni Prime missile. It is a surface-to-surface ballistic missile with 1000 to 2000 kilometer capacity. It is mainly nuclear capable missile. It is a part of the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program. So if you see this Integrated Guided Missile Development Program, which is launched by APJ Abdul Kalam mainly to make India self-sufficient in missile technology. So it developed total 5 missiles, which we can simply tell as Patna missiles. So Patna means Prithvi missile, Agni missile, Trishul missile, Nag and Akash missile. Prithvi is a short range surface-to-surface ballistic missile. Agni is a ballistic missile with different ranges 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Trishul is a short range surface-to-air missile. Nag is an anti-tank missile. Akash is a mid-range, medium-range surface-to-air missile. So please remember all these missiles. So next, Turkey and which of the following country has conducted military drills in Baku city? So Turkey and which country has conducted military drills in Baku city? So answer is very simple. Baku is the capital of which country? Azerbaijan. So Baku is the capital of Azerbaijan. So in Azerbaijan, both Turkey and Azerbaijan, they conducted Mustafa Kemal Atatürk 2021 military drills, mainly to increase their combat interoperability. So 600 personnel have participated in this event. So last year Turkey has supported Azerbaijan and Armenia was supported by Russia because there was a conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia in the Nagorno-Karabakh region, and Azerbaijan won this conflict. So please remember these points: Turkey capital Ankara, Turkey currency lira, Azerbaijan capital Baku, Azerbaijan currency Manat. Okay, remember these points. Next question. So which country and USA have conducted sea breeze drills in the Black Sea? So which country and USA have conducted sea breeze drills in Black Sea? Answer is Ukraine. So Ukraine and United States have conducted the sea breeze drills. So mainly this exercise was conducted to show Russia the support of United States to Ukraine. To compete with Russia, this particular exercise was conducted, and it is the largest exercise because nearly 32 countries have participated with 5,000 troops, 32 ships and 40 aircrafts. So very big exercise conducted. So if you see the background of the story, Russia has occupied Crimea region of Ukraine in 2014. So from then Ukraine and Russia are having a continuous conflict. Now this particular Ukraine country is supported by United States to compete with Russia. So if you see the details about Ukraine, Ukraine capital is Kyiv, Ukraine currency Ukrainian hryvnia, America capital is Washington DC, and America currency is United States dollar. Please remember. So next, Rafale, a advanced defense system company. So it belongs to which country? So they recently launched the Seabreaker artificial intelligence missile. So Rafale advanced defense system company belongs to Israel country. So Israel's Rafale advanced defense system, they launched the Seabreaker AI missile with a range of 300 km, which is 4 meter tall, 400 kg weight. It is a 5th generation long range autonomous precise guided missile. So it can target both stationary and moving objects. So this system has a lot of features like the automated mission planning, automated target recognition, multi-directional attack. It can neutralize a frigate-sized ship with a single hit. It mainly depends on artificial intelligence for decision making. It also has an infrared homing. That means infrared rays will be used to locate the target. It can function in both day and night and in all weather conditions. So this has a data link system which can communicate with the operator, and it can work in areas where there is no GPS, where there are electronic countermeasures, laser jamming. It can work effectively in every place. It also has a mid-flight abort facility. You can abort this mission anytime, and also it can also assess the damage. It can also assess the damage done by the missile. So this is developed by Israel. So Israel capital Jerusalem, Israel currency Israeli shekel, and you know Israel new Prime Minister Naftali Bennett. Last week we discussed. So also Israel president also the recent appointment Isaac Herzog. So please remember all these points, very important. So next excuse me. So next, India's first indigenous drone defense dome system was developed by Hyderabad-based Green Robotics. India's first indigenous drone defense dome system. So to avoid these drones, unmanned aerial vehicles, a dome system was developed by Green Robotics. What is the name of the system? Answer is Indrajal. So Indrajal is the name of the system developed by the Green Robotics. It has a protecting capacity of 1000 to 2000 square kilometers. So here it will protect mainly from these drones you can see in the picture called the unmanned aerial vehicles and incoming weapons. Recently in the Jammu Air Base region, near the MiG-17 hangar, a drone has placed explosives. So it is done by our enemies. So we need to protect from these advanced warfare activities. So that is why we need to have this dome system, dome protection system. So next question, Indian Navy and which of the following navies have conducted a drill in the East China Sea? So Indian Navy and which of the following Navy has conducted drills in the East China Sea? Answer is South Korea. So with South Korea, Indian Navy has conducted this particular exercise. So mainly to improve their interoperability and exchange of best practices. So in the recent times, China is having conflict with South Korea, Japan, India, with everyone. So that is why there is a need to have military drills mainly in the South China Sea, East China Sea and the Indian Ocean. From Indian side, anti-submarine warfare covert INS Kiltan, and from the Korean side, the Republic of Korea ship Yongnam have participated in the drill. Also remember, South Korea capital Seoul, and South Korea currency South Korean won. So next is ranks and reports. So if you see the ranks and reports section, so very important, you need to by heart all the ranks. So cost of living survey, what is the rank of India? sorry, in the cost of living survey, Mumbai, what is the rank of Mumbai? So answer is 78. Answer is 78. So cost of living survey. So in this cost of living survey, Ashabakt is situated at first place, Hong Kong second, Beirut third, Tokyo 4, Zurich 5, and the last rank is Bishkek of Kyrgyzstan. So in this report, Mumbai is placed at 78. Other cities, other Indian cities, New Delhi 117, Chennai 158, Bangalore 170, Kolkata 181. So this cost of living index, mainly it assesses the cost of expenses like housing, food, and transport. So according to this report, Ashabakt is the most expensive city for foreign workers. So and Indian cities, Mumbai is placed at 78. So please remember first and any Indian cities, very very important. So next, what is the rank of India in the global cyber security index? So what is the rank of India in the global cyber security index? Answer is 10th rank. So India is placed at 10th place in the global cyber security index. So it is released by the International Telecommunication Union, and according to this report, first rank is by USA, second by United Kingdom and Saudi, third is by Estonia, fourth is shared by 3 South Korea, Singapore, Japan, fifth is shared by 3 Russia, UAE, United Arab Emirates and Malaysia. So please remember about the International Telecommunication Union, which mainly works for the information and communication technologies, which is headquartered in Geneva, found in 1865. So next is, which country has topped the global cyber security index? You know the answer. It is United States of America. United States of America has topped the global cyber security index, and India is ranked at 10th position. Next, what is the rank of India in the global startup ecosystem 2021? What is the rank of India in the global ecosystem 2021? Answer is 20th rank. So India is placed at 20th rank. So India ranks 20 in the global startup ecosystem, which is published by the Startup Blink. So according to this report, India needs to develop infrastructure and internet speed to strengthen its startup ecosystem. Presently, out of 1000 cities, Indian cities are 43. So Bangalore at 10th place, New Delhi at 14, Mumbai at 16 in the top 20 cities. So if you see the top 5 countries, USA, UK, Israel, Canada, Germany are top 5. If you see the top 5 countries there. If you see the top 5 cities, San Francisco, New York, Beijing, Los Angeles, London are the top 5 cities. If you see about India, so they said that India is in India, Bangalore is a notable hub for Flipkart, Byju's, Vedantu, and New Delhi is hub for Zomato and Snapdeal startups. So these are all the points we need to remember. So please remember all these points. So next is the science and technology section. We'll see the important science and technology news. So first MCQ, Microsoft has launched its new Windows operating system. What is the name of the system? Answer is Windows 11. Very easy, very simple question. So Microsoft has launched Windows 11 in 2021. In 2015, Microsoft has launched Windows 10. So Windows 11 comes with most advanced features like the central aligned taskbar, start button, a new user interface, new Windows store, everything is very new and very advanced and very unique. And it can also support the Android apps now. It can also work in the touch mode. So this Microsoft 11 is a free upgrade for Microsoft 10 users. So please remember, Microsoft CEO and newly appointed chairman Satya Nadella, Microsoft headquarters Washington, Microsoft formed in 1975. So we'll see the next important books and authors section. Very very important. There are a total 4 to 5 books. We'll see all the important books. So Fiercely Female, the Dute Chand story was written by Sundeep Mishra. So Sundeep Mishra is the author of Fiercely Female Dute Chand story. So you study this entire book. Next, the book Kashmiri Century Portrait of Society in a Flux is a book authored by Kemlata Waklu. Kashmiri Century, the Portrait of Society in a Flux is a book authored by Kemlata Waklu. So this book explains about the lifestyle, the living of the Kashmiri people, the entire century, so entire 100 years. Small stories about Kashmiri people were engraved in this book. The next, Policymaker Journal from New Delhi to Washington DC is a book authored by Policymaker Journal from New Delhi to Washington DC is a book authored by, who is the answer? It is Kaushik Basu. So Kaushik Basu has authored this book, Policymaker Journal from New Delhi to Washington DC. So Kaushik Basu is a chief economist of the World Bank, and also he worked as a chief economic advisor for India. So he is also the professor at Cornell University. So his experiences from New Delhi to Washington, how he went from the government of India to World Bank, how he worked for World Bank, he described in this book. So next, the author of the book Anomalies in the Law and Justice is a book authored by, so Anomalies and Law and Justice is a book authored by R.V. Ravindran. R.V. Ravindran is the former Supreme Court judge. So he explains the law, the law system in India in the simple words so that it will be understandable by every layman. So he simply explains about law to public. So next we'll go into the next category of awards where we'll see the first award. Central government has released the list of Smart City Awards 2020. So which city has won the Smart Cities Leadership Award? Which city has won the Smart City Leadership Award? Answer is Ahmedabad. So the Smart City Awards 2020 was announced, and in this award and this awards list, Ahmedabad bagged the Smart City Leadership Award. So Smart City Mission is a program launched in 2015 by the Ministry of Urban Affairs, Housing and Urban Affairs, and the present ministry is headed by Sri Hardeep Singh Puri. So please learn about Smart City Mission and this entire list. We already discussed the Smart City Awards list. It's a big list, please study. So next question, who was granted this year Spanish, the Princess of Asturias Literacy Award? So who was awarded this year Spanish Princess of Asturias Literacy Award? Answer is Emmanuel Carrere. So Emmanuel Carrere was awarded this particular award, the Spanish Princess of Asturias Literacy Award. So this award contains nearly 50,000 euro cash prize. So it is generally given in a lavish party organized in the month of October, mainly by the foundation, the Princess of Asturias Foundation, and the present head of the foundation is King Philip VI. So he will present this award to Emmanuel Carrere. Emmanuel Carrere is famous for his book Adversaries, which is published in 2000. This is all about the Spanish Princess of Asturias Literacy Award. So next, last question in this category, which Indian state has topped the India Smart City Awards contest 2020? Which state has topped the India Smart City Awards contest 2020? Answer is UP, Uttar Pradesh. So Uttar Pradesh has topped the overall development award, whereas if you see the cities, Indore and Surat both have jointly topped the overall development award, and Uttar Pradesh has topped the overall among the states. And in the 4-star rating award, all these cities have bagged prizes: Surat, Indore, Ahmedabad, Pune, Vijayawada, Rajkot, Visakhapatnam, Pimpri Chinchwad and Vadodara. So next we will go into the next question, where who was awarded with the highest civilian award of Mongolia, the Order of Polar Star. So who was awarded the highest civilian award of Mongolia, the Order of Polar Star? Answer is Rakesh Agarwal. So Rakesh Agarwal, who is the chairman and managing director of Engineers India Limited, he was given the Order of Polar Star by the President of Mongolia. So he was given mainly for his contributions towards the construction of the first ever oil refinery in the country of Mongolia. So this particular, if you see the background, so Mongolia was given a line of credit of $1 billion by India. So they decided to construct their first oil refinery. So Engineers India Limited, so a public sector company of India, so they got the contract of project management consultancy services. So the CMD of this company, Rakesh Agarwal, and his team, they worked towards this oil refinery. So for their work, the Mongolian government has presented them with the Order of Polar Star award. Okay. So please remember these points mainly: Mongolia capital Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia currency Mongolian Tugrik, and Mongolian president Ukna Kurulshuk. So recent in news, Ukna Kurulshuk. So please by heart. So next question, who has been awarded the Fukuoka Grand Prize for the year 2021? Who has been awarded the Fukuoka Grand Prize for the year 2021? Answer is Palgami Sainath. So P. Sainath was awarded this Fukuoka Grand Prize 2021. So mainly mainly he was given in Grand Prize category. So he is a famous journalist. So these awards were given mainly to individuals or organizations who are preserving the Asian culture. So if you see about Sainath, he was earlier given lot of awards like the European Commission Lorenzo Natali Award, Amity International Global Human Rights Journalism Award, Food and Agricultural Organizations Boirma Award, and the Raman Magsaysay Award. So many awards were presented to P. Sainath earlier. So he is important publication. Everybody loves a good drought, which is a collection of 85 articles he presented in the Times of India. So if you see some details about the Fukuoka Award, so Fukuoka Award has total 3 categories: the Academic Prize, Culture Prize, and the Grand Prize. Sainath is the recipient of Grand Prize. Mio Kishimoto is the recipient of Mio Kishimoto is the recipient of Academic Prize, and Culture Prize was given to Parva Yon. So these are all the recipients of this prize this year. Earlier, Indians like Romila Thapar was awarded in the academic category. Azmat Ali Khan was awarded in the culture category, and A.R. Rahman was awarded in the grand prize category. So please remember this slide, very important. Next question, which of the following film has won the best film in the documentary category in the Toronto International Women Film Festival? So which film has won the best film in the documentary category? Answer is Decoding Shankar. So Decoding Shankar is a film produced by Deepthi Pillai. So it is the story of the famous musician Shankar Mahadevan. So this film has won the best film category in the documentary segment. So this film is simply a 52-minute documentary about the life of the musician Shankar Mahadevan, his career of music, career as a singer, composer, and also his interesting things about his family and his passion for cooking. So next question, who has been awarded the Kuvempu Rashtriya Puraskar for the year 2020? Kuvempu Rashtriya Puraskar. Answer is Rajendra Kishore Panda. So Rajendra Kishore Panda, R.K. Panda, is the recipient of this Kuvempu Rashtriya Puraskar, who is a famous Odia poet. So Kuvempu Rashtriya Puraskar is a national award instituted in the memory of Kuppali Venkatappa Puttappa, whose pen name is Kuvempu. So under this award, a 5 lakh cash prize, a silver medal and a citation is provided. So if you see about the Kuvempu Rashtriya Puraskar award, so this award is instituted by the Rashtrakavi Kuvempu Trust, which was launched in 2013, and Dr. Panda received this award this year. So mainly he published 16 poetry collections and novels. So he brought the Odia poetry to great heights. He was also earlier awarded the Gangadhar National Award, Sahitya Academy Award, and D.Litt by Doctor of Literature by the Sambalpur University. These are all the achievements about the Rajendra Kishore Panda. We'll go into the next session, sports news. So if you see the sports news, so first question you can see on the screen, which of the following has won the 2021 Styrian Grand Prix? So which of the following has won the 2021 Styrian Grand Prix? Answer is Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen won the 2021 Styrian Grand Prix. So last week only he won the French Grand Prix also. So Max Verstappen of Netherlands stood first, Lewis Hamilton of Britain stood second, and Valtteri Bottas of Finland stood third. So this is the fourth win of Verstappen in this season. So Verstappen now leads the 2021 Driver Championship standings with 156 points, followed by Lewis Hamilton with 138 points. So Styrian Grand Prix is a Formula 1 motor racing event mainly held at the Red Bull Racing Ring in the Austria. So mainly in the Styria province of Austria. So in the same track, one more event is conducted called the Austrian Grand Prix. So total 2 Grand Prix will be held at one single ring at Styria, which is a province of Austria. So first race was held in 2020, which is won by Lewis Hamilton. The second edition in 2021 won by Max Verstappen. So next question, who have become the joint top scorer in the men's international football? So who has become the joint scorer of men's international football? Answer is Cristiano Ronaldo. So Cristiano Ronaldo along with Ali Dio of Iran, so both of them have achieved 109 goals in their total entire career. So total they have 109 goals. So they are now leading the board of men's international football total goals. So Cristiano Ronaldo achieved this feat in the Portugal versus France match. So the presently Euro 2020 European football championships are being conducted in 11 cities in the 11 European countries. So please see to it. You can get questions on Euro 2020 and about this Cristiano Ronaldo. So Cristiano Ronaldo is now top goal scorer along with Ali Dio of Iran. So next question, name the Indian archer who won 3 gold medals at the Archery World Cup Stage 3, which is held in Paris. So name the Indian archer who won 3 gold medals at the Archery World Cup Stage 3 held in Paris. Answer is Deepika Kumari. So Deepika Kumari has won total 3 gold medals. India has a tally of total 4, and the 4th medal is won by Abhishek Verma. So this 2021 Archery World Cup is being conducted by the World Archery Association. So total every year they will have total 4 events, one at Paris, second one at Lausanne, third one at Guatemala City, and the 4th one at Shanghai. So presently in the Paris event, Deepika Kumari has won 3 gold medals in the women recurve individual event, team event, and the mixed pair event. So next question. So who became the first Indian women cricketer to be handed over a 4-year ban after failing dope test? So who is that first Indian women cricketer who was banned for 4 years? Answer is Anshula Rao. So Anshula Rao was banned for 4 years mainly for failing the dope test. So earlier also she was found guilty of consuming banned steroids. She was given the ban, she was handed over this ban by the National Anti-Doping Agency. So this anti-doping agency was formed in 2005, headquartered in Delhi, which is mainly responsible for maintaining the doping control program in India in every sport. So Ansula Rao, if you see about Ansula Rao, she is a under 23 cricketer and all-rounder of Madhya Pradesh who participated in all the matches conducted by the BCCI, and recently she participated in the 2019-20 under 23 event. So next question, Rahi Sarnobat recently claimed gold in which sport? Rahi Sarnobat recently claimed gold in which sport? Answer is shooting. So in shooting, Rahi Sarnobat has claimed gold in the 25-meter pistol event. So another shooter, Manu Bakar, has finished at 7th position and Rahi Sarnobat finished at 1st position. So this shooting event was conducted in Ozik City, Croatia country. So it is conducted by the International Shooting Sport Federation. So the main aim of this shooting event is to make athletes qualify to the Olympics. So this is the last competition before the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. So this particular shooting event will be conducted before the Olympics so that shooters will be qualified to Olympics. So next question, who has been recently became the India's cricketer to debut in all formats? So who is the youngest cricketer to debut in all formats? So who is that youngest cricketer to debut in all formats? The answer is Shafali Verma. So Shafali Verma is the youngest cricketer to debut in all formats. So at 15 years age, 2 to 39 days, she debuted into T20s. So 11 days earlier, she debuted into Test match, and at the age of 17 years, 150 days, she debuted into one-day internationals. If you see the top 5 cricketers to debut in all formats, Mujib-ur-Rahman of Afghanistan, he debuted in 17 years, 78 days. Shara Taylor of England at 17 years, 86 days. L.C. Perry of Australia at 17 years, 104 days. Mohammad Amir of Pakistan, 17 years, 108 days. Shafali Verma of India, 17 years, 150 days. So this is the entire list of top 5 youngest cricketers to debut in all formats. So next, ICC Men's T20, originally to be conducted in India, is shifted to which country now? So ICC Men's T20, originally slated to be held in India, will be now shifted to which country? Answer is United Arab Emirates. So United Arab Emirates to host this ICC T20. So they will be hosted in Dubai Stadium, Sheikh Zayed Stadium, Sharjah Stadium, along with Oman Cricket Academy Stadium. So matches will be held even in the Oman Cricket Academy Stadium. So this year ICC Cricket World Cup, T20 World Cup will be hosted by India. Next year it will be Australia. So the first edition of T20 World Cup was held in 2007 and by South Africa, and India won the World Cup, first World Cup, and the last World Cup, T20 World Cup, was held in 2016, and West Indies have won the World Cup, and this 2016 World Cup was hosted by India itself. So also remember points like the BCCI President Saurav Ganguly, BCCI Secretary Jai Shah, BCCI formed in 1928, BCCI headquarters Mumbai, ICC Chairman Greg Barclay, ICC CEO Manu Sanway, ICC formed in 1909, ICC headquarters in Dubai. So please remember all these points. So we'll see the next question. Who among the following have become the youngest ever chess grandmaster? So who among the following has become the youngest chess grandmaster? So answer is Abhimanyu Mishra. So Indian origin American Abhimanyu Mishra becomes the youngest chess grandmaster at the age of 12 years, 4 months, 25 days. The earlier record was under the name of Sergei Karjakin. So he won the record at 12 years, 7 months. But now Abhimanyu Mishra has broke this record. Now he is at 12 years, 4 months. So if you see about the grandmaster title, so this title is awarded by the International Chess Federation to chess players. So this International Chess Federation is a governing body of the international chess competitions formed in 1924 and headquartered in Lausanne, Switzerland. So please remember all these details. So this section completes. Now we'll go into the important days. So we'll have a quick revision of the important days. Just we'll see all the important days. So please remember these important days. So in the International Day in the support of victims of torture was observed on June 26th. So June 26th is the International Day in the support of victims of torture. So please remember it is June 26th, the International Day of Support of Victims of Torture. Next, what is the theme of the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking 2021? What is the theme of the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking 2021? Share facts on drugs save lives. Share facts on drugs save lives is the theme of 2021. International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. So this day is observed on June 26th. Please remember also it is observed on June 26th. So next question, Micro Small Medium Sized Enterprises Day is observed on. Micro Small Medium Sized Enterprises Day is observed on June 27th. So please by heart, and the theme for this year is MSME 2021, a key to inclusive and sustainable recovery. So next, United Nations observes International Day of Tropics on which day? International Day of Tropics is observed on June 29. So June 29 is observed as the International Day of Tropics, and the theme for this year is Digital Divide in the Tropics. So next question. So the Government of India celebrates National Statistics Day on 29 June on the birth anniversary of which of the following personality? So National Statistics Day is celebrated on June 29 on the birth anniversary of Professor Prashant Chandra Mahalanobis. So Prashant Chandra Mahalanobis is considered as the father of Indian statistics. He is a member of Indian planning between 1956 to 61. So on his birthday we celebrate the Statistics Day, and he is the founder of the Indian Statistical Institute in 1931 in Kolkata, and he is the backbone of the Nehru Mahalanobis plan, or the second 5-year plan. So the next question, what is the theme of National Statistics Day? So the theme of National Statistics Day is End Hungry, Achieve Food Security, Improve Nutrition and Promote Sustainable Agriculture. So which is a sustainable development goal. So the theme of this year is End Hungry, Achieve Food Security, Improve Nutrition and Promote Sustainable Agriculture. So next, International Day of Parliamentarism is observed on. International Day of Parliamentarism is observed on June 30. So June 30 is celebrated as the International Day of Parliamentarism. So please by heart, which is conducted by the Inter-Parliamentary Union. So please by heart all these details. So International Asteroid Day is observed on June 30. International Asteroid Day is observed on June 30 mainly to create awareness about the asteroid impact. So please by heart all the details about asteroids. So National Postal Worker Day is observed on. National Postal Worker Day observed on July 1st. So please remember National Postal Day is observed on July 1st. Next, National Doctors Day is observed on. National Doctors Day is also on July 1st. So please remember it is conducted by the Indian Medical Association. National Doctors Day is observed on July 1st, which is the birth anniversary of Bindan Chandra Roy, who is the second Chief Minister of West Bengal. So next question, National Chartered Accountants Day or CA Day is observed on. National Chartered Accountants Day or CA Day is observed on July 1st. Again July 1st. So July 1st, 3 important days. So please remember National Chartered Accountants Day is observed on July 1st. So please remember. So next, World Sports Journalist Day is observed on. World Sports Journalist Day is observed on July 2nd. So please remember World Sports Journalist Day is observed on July 2nd. So next, World UFO Day, Unidentified Flying Objects. World UFO Day is observed on July 2nd. World UFO Day is observed on July 2nd. So please by heart all these days. The days are very important, and also themes. So if you have a theme, if you have a day, you need to by heart. Rest is up to your wish. But please by heart theme and day, very important. So next we will go into persons in news, where the editor of Sudharma Sanskrit Daily, he recently passed away. Who is that person? The editor of Sudharma Sanskrit Daily, he recently passed away, and the answer is KV Sampath Kumar. So KV Sampath Kumar is the editor of Sudharma Daily, he recently passed away. So he along with his wife Jayalakshmi were given the Padma Shri in 2020 in the Literature, Education, Journalism category. Earlier also he was awarded lot of awards like the Siddharudra Award, Sivaratri Desh Kendri Award, Abdul Kalam Award, and he introduced the country's first Sanskrit calendar in 2009. So his father Pandit Varadaraja Iyengar, he launched the Sudharma Sanskrit Daily in 1970. Presently, it is the only Sanskrit daily in the world printed and published from Mysore. So these are all the details about KV Sampath Kumar. Next, we will go into miscellaneous topics. The last section for today. So the Mukhyamantri COVID-19 Parivar Arthik Sahayata Yojana was launched by which union territory or state? The Mukhyamantri COVID-19 Parivar Arthik Sahayata Yojana was launched by the Delhi government. So Delhi government has launched this program. Mainly it is a 50,000 ex gratia provided to family member, where their family member is lost due to COVID pandemic. So if any of your family members are lost due to COVID pandemic, so the Delhi government will provide you 50,000 ex gratia and a monthly pension of rupees 2,500. If the children lost their parents, so they will also get a 2,500 monthly pension and 50,000 ex gratia, and also free education and free health. So remember Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and Delhi Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal. So next question, which of the following is India's oldest newspaper? So which of the following is now the India's oldest newspaper? Answer is Bombay Samachar. So Bombay Samachar on July 1st entered its 200th year. So this paper was published in 1822. So by Farozji Muzarban. So Farozji Muzarban has launched this paper in 1822. It is the second non-English paper of this after Samachar Darpan during the British times. So later on this paper was successfully run by the Kaman Urtan company. So this is all about the Mumbai Samachar paper. The next question, House Law Inspiring Her Growth is a comprehensive program for catalyzing women entrepreneurship is introduced in which union territory or state? So House Law Inspiring Her Growth, a comprehensive program for catalyzing women entrepreneurship is launched in the union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. So Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor, you can see in the picture, Manoj Sinha, he launched this program, House Law Inspiring Her Growth. So this program mainly to reduce the gap between the women and men entrepreneurs and to provide all the facilities for women entrepreneurs to develop as great entrepreneurs in the state, to develop businesses in the state. So this is about this scheme. So next, the last question for today, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Secretary Arun Kumar Mehta has inaugurated the SDRF 1st Battalion Mental Health Line. So what is the name of this mental health line? So what is the name of the mental health line launched by the Jammu and Kashmir government? Answer is Sukhan. So Sukhan is the mental health line launched by the Jammu and Kashmir government, which is run by the SDRF, State Disaster Response Force 1st Battalion of Kashmir and Mission Youth and Tourism Department. So mainly if you have any problem, if you want any assistance, guidelines, if you are facing anxiety, depression, stress, panic attack or any mental health issues or any pandemic related psychological stress, you can call these numbers. So they will provide you assistance. So also remember Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha. So these are all the MCQs. So very long session of MCQs. So please by heart these MCQs. So if you like our content, so please subscribe our YouTube channel, share our content with all your friends. So join our Telegram channel for this PDF. Also download our Career Power Hyderabad app. We'll provide the link in the description. So we are providing bank SSC RRB courses in our Career Power Hyderabad app. So do download the app. So please follow our videos. We'll meet again with a beautiful video. So until then, thank you one and all.